Good afternoon. Welcome to this episode of Freeworld News, Freeworld Header. So we're going to start off by talking a little bit about this increased probability of parity, if that's the case, with regard to currencies, particularly the euro and the dollar, and what the quantitative easing program is taking place in relation to that.
That's parity, of course, has been the talk for the last year. It feels like. We had last week. We had the the decrease of the interest rate by the ECB, and the whole thing behaved paradoxically. The market supposedly was not happy with the amount of quantitative easing that he'd produced. The euro went up, and it went up very significantly. It went from about 105 to almost 10. Well, it went to 109. Now we've got the second event, which goes in that pair, and the second event would have been the expected increase of the Fed rate, the USD interest rate, which everybody has been expecting to happen now for about the last 2 weeks. And that decision will be made this coming Wednesday, the 16th of December, at about 7 p.m. Now, this is my view. When the ECB did what it was expected to do, the euro got strong, right? Which is a paradoxical reaction. And my only explanation for that paradoxical reaction is that there was a lot of money on the sell euro square, and it basically just had to unleash. So, looking at the net dollar position, we're in a fairly the same sort of zone here. So my worry is that the Fed will increase interest rates, and the market will take that as not a very strong move. In other words, they're expecting the interest rate to go up in America. If it doesn't go up quite as much, then we might see another burst of strong euro.
Yeah.
So, it's a perfect market. Nobody knows actually what will happen. And it's going to be quite an interesting evening. Wednesday evening about 7 o'clock.
Okay, so just before we get into the second topic, we have a macadamia nut report from Adam.
Yeah, that's on
this
there.
Afternoon, so it'll be interesting to see what's happening from the African.
The Australian first, Australian and then African, yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about Christmas demand. Normally you would expect demand to be quite high this part of the year.
Well, we're in a cold weather business, and traditionally, Christmas has been the main sale.
Yeah.
By this time of year, of course, everything that's going to be delivered for Christmas is already packed in the packers and awaiting delivery now to the stores. And we're therefore in a position where we can pretty much tell you what Christmas demand is like, and the general view, not only for us, but from everybody who will speak to me in the trade, and we're friendly with most people in the trade, tells me that, if anything, there's been overbuying.
Right.
We've had people saying, "Oh, can you delay this to then? Can you delay this to then?" And it does seem like the supermarket projections, which were lower than would have expected, were probably on the high side. So, we know of plenty of stock which is in packers' hands, which they're quite now nervously awaiting for top-up orders. So, a bit of a flat Christmas. Also, it's been the other side, the main side of our business is cold weather trade, and that has been muted. And in retrospect, one of the things that used to happen about this time of year, we get a lot of demand from Russia, which is pure cold weather business, and usually will go until about March. But of course, with the problems in terms of sanctions, the sanctions against the EC, sanctions against now the blockade of the Turkish border, that demand is gone. It's not available to us. And we've also seen some very high pricing on the nuts, and now almonds, I think, definitely are weak. Brazil's have weakened off maybe 30 cents, say, from their peaks, and Cashews have tried to go up, but pretty much stayed the same. So, I think we've got sort of muted demand and sort of nut prices which are wavering. And now I think prices might fall a little bit, and then we might see some traction. Unfortunately, the way the demand works, there's a quite dislocation between pricing. Nobody comes on to buy because things are cheap.
So demand is suffering a bit, but supply is like people are keeping this stuff for themselves. Suppliers are keeping this stuff for themselves.
Well, suppliers have held out for high prices.
Right.
And maybe now are getting a bit worried.
Right, so everybody's kind of being more conservative in the decision making, and that means taking less risks, which in turn is affecting.
Yeah, that's
demand.
right. It means when the price goes down, buyers don't immediately leap in.
Sure.
They leap in when they want to buy.
So this is very unusual activity for Christmas period.
It's unusual, but maybe it's part of a trend that's been going on for a long time.
Sure.
Christmas isn't just about staying at home and eating lots of rich foods. It's now also a time when people travel, and that correspondingly means less demand at home.
Right, okay, less demand at home and volatility still within the market.
Yeah.
Also, just want to end this video by talking a little bit about a survey, or at least a bit of research, which was released a few months ago, concentrating just on women, but it was quite revealing. It was talking a little bit about what happiness is as a concept, and how that could be related to your quality of life.
It was quite a large piece of work. There's 77,000 people, I think, 77,000 women, and it goes back to this concept of happy people are healthier people.
Yeah.
And what this survey actually showed was that no, actually, people who are healthy are happier,
Right. Okay.
rather than happiness per se, keeping you alive for longer.
Yeah.
I wish it were that easy.
So it was quite interesting to look at that, and one of the reasons we've included that in our video is because this whole idea of this emerging health food market we're talking about, volatility, uncertainty, certainly with regard to the volatile currency, certainly with regard to the low demand. I mean, these are quite negative topics to talk about, and it is quite refreshing to talk a little bit about a positive thing, such as happiness, and that is intricately related to everything we do. However, this bit of research clearly showed that happiness doesn't necessarily, the more happy you are, it doesn't necessarily mean the longer you live. So there's not a direct correlation between happiness. However, you measure that in whatever tangible way used, and life expectancy. Rather, eating and having a healthy lifestyle is more of a prominent factor in higher life expectancy. So if you look at countries such as the Nordic countries, who consistently rank amongst the highest in terms of life expectancy, they might have better access to healthy food and blah blah. So it might not necessarily.
I think the message, rather than happiness keeping you healthy, being healthy makes you happy,
Right.
and that's a better life.
So thank you very much.